Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's just spitting. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. The Krishna conscious movement presents to the world the truth that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Many people, they profess to present the truth. So one has to be very careful not to be cheated if one is seeking the truth. The Krishna conscious movement presents knowledge from the Vedas. Vedas, they're sometimes called Hindu scriptures, but that is a misnomer. Veda means knowledge. And this knowledge in the Vedas has been extant in human society since time immemorial. So the Vedas teach us that we are not this body that we are presently inhabiting, but that we have been through many, many bodies. We are seeking happiness in this world, but we don't find it. So this is truth, which anyone who's a little honest can understand. One point about the truth is that in this world we're living in the world of non-truth. We're living in a world of non-truth. For instance, no one in the schools or colleges or the homes or via the TV teaches that we are not the body. Everyone is eager to promote the non-truth that we shall be happy and fulfilled by living in ignorance, by living in the ignorance of thinking that we shall be happy just thinking that this body is me. And if I can just get some more money, then I'll be happy. Even the richest man in the world thinks that. So because this world is sworn to untruth, then many non-truths are promoted as truth. To give a prominent example, it is widely accepted as truth, indisputable truth, that humans have evolved from monkeys and ultimately from inert matter. There was a Big Bang. Prior to that there was nothing, absolute nothingness. Nothing exploded. It's called science. And then it all bubbled around for some time. It all settled down into a bubbly ocean of chemicals, some of which formed themselves in, some of which bubbled around and became living organisms, which eventually turned into fish, which crawled onto land and became lizards. Eventually they became monkeys, and you can trace your genealogy from there. I saw my father, my grandfather, before that there's my great-grandfather, before that my great-great-grand, go a little bit further back, and there's a monkey. And there's the underlying purport of all this is that there's no design, there's no God in control. So, although it sounds very realistic to some people, it's some kind of quasi-scientific fairy story. It's a theory that has been invented, and although not consciously to defy God, but that's the underlying motive. It is most unscientific to declare it to be scientific. If we say that reacting acids and alkalis produces a reaction with effervescence and salt and water result, okay, we can say that's scientific. But to say that there's been a nothing and then there was a Big Bang, which no one has ever seen or you can't even imagine it, there's absolutely no proof whatsoever. This is not science. Now, the Vedas teach us that we are living beings. As living bodies, as living beings, we are not these bodies. Consciousness is independent of matter. When the body dies, the soul or the individual living being continues to exist. Chemicals in and of themselves do not have life. If we examine the human body, we can find there's carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, so many different chemicals. But chemicals are not alive. So this neo-Darwinian evolutionary theories and theories of the universe come into being by some cosmic chance, these theories are all atheistic. For they seek to present in the name of knowledge, in the name of truth, something which is patently untrue. These theories give rise to the idea that we are these bodies. You and me are just bundles of chemicals. But because it's presented as the truth, which you must accept to be a civilized human being, this whole civilization is misleading people into thinking that we are the body. They say that science has proved that we are just all chemicals. So there is no soul and there is no God. And in this way, these theories keep people in gross ignorance. Ignorance of the actual truth that we are by nature spiritual beings. I am not a bag of chemicals. You are not a bag of chemicals. We are all part and parcel, infinitesimal parts and parcels of the infinite Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, to understand spiritual truth, the spiritual truth of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, Krishna, we will have to accept that much of what is considered in this world to be truth is actually falsehood. Nowadays, practically, the scientists are treated like high priests. People tend to take very seriously, oh, scientists said. If we quote that God said in the Bhagavad Gita, people say, what's that? That's something out of date. But if we say scientists said, and people say, very, very important. Well, the fact is that in the name of improving the human condition, the scientists have made the world today like one big hell. Because they say they're studying the laws of nature, but they are ignorant of the subtle laws of nature. By the subtle laws of nature is meant that if we perform sinful activities, we are punished by the laws of nature, by the laws of God. But the atheistic scientists scoff at this. They say, well, we haven't seen it through a microscope or a telescope or any other scope, so it can't be true. They presume that all of reality must be within the scope of their tiny intelligence and their very limited sensory perception. It's like a child who is blindfolded and thinks because he can't see something, it doesn't exist. So there are so many plans to improve the condition of the world. They've made so many hospitals and research to stop different diseases. But the laws of nature go on despite their attempting to conquer them all. For instance, there are more and more apparently new diseases that come up. They're very busy trying to conquer different diseases, and then new diseases come up. There's this AIDS is killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. Now there's some Zika, some new disease borne by mosquitoes. They tell us that they can conquer nature, but nature is more smart than them. They have plans for limiting the population by artificial birth contraception and abortion. But they don't know that by introducing these acts which are against the laws of nature, which are against the laws of God, they're simply massively increasing the bad karma of the people of the world. They don't know, the doctors who practice abortion, they don't know that they will have to come back again and again and again to be as babies in the wombs of mothers who cruelly have them aborted. Such doctors may be satisfied with their salaries, but their salary won't save them, as they again and again have to reap the karmic results of their sinful activity. So many things the scientists, they claim to be improving. Now they're genetically modifying food, and they don't know what the long-term result will be. They see the short-term result that companies like Monsanto make more and more profits. And they are, because of this greed for money, they are blind even to worldly truths, that it's a very great risk to give people these kinds of food. We don't know what the result will be. In the meantime, having made a complete mess of this planet, they want to spend billions of dollars sending rockets off to other planets. They tell us that they're going off to see different planets. We don't have, at least we in the Krishna conscious movement, we don't have faith in this scientists telling us that they're discovering all about the universe. All the planets are described already in the Vedas, long before they made their different telescopes. The Vedic cosmography is quite different to that which is imagined by scientists today. The Vedic knowledge tells us that there is life on every planet. We may not be able to see it through our telescope because we are minor inhabitants of the universe. We are not allowed access to the affairs of higher planets. Apart from that, all this propaganda about travel to other planets, what's the point anyway? Somehow or other, if we were able to sit on a rocket and fly off to other planets, how would that benefit us? We would just take all our problems from here and export them there. It's another illusion that we can go somewhere else and then everything will be wonderful. Just like less than 300 years ago, people from Europe thought, let us go to America and everything will be wonderful there. So they built a wonderful civilization there by slaughtering most of the original population. And we see that America today is probably definitely the most materialistic and most confused society in the world today. So the Krishna conscious movement calls on people just to become a little sane, not to be childish. Children think, let me get some toy, then I will be happy. So people think, let me get some toy, some BMW car, or BMW, it's different in different languages, huh? Or let me, when they're children they have toy cars, and when they grow up they have big toy cars. When they're children they build little houses from Lego, and when they're bigger they want to have some big house, and see, my big house. But the Krishna conscious movement says that our real problem, our real business should be solving the problem of repeated birth and death. You have to die. What happens after that? Why don't we think about that? Some people say, well, when you're dead, it's all finished. There's nothing. And some people say when you die, you go into some state of disanimation. And eventually the day of judgment comes. And either Jesus comes or Allah, depending on which religion you believe in. And then you either go to hell or heaven forever. According to these religions, most people are going to hell forever. Because God loves them so much, He sends them to hell forever. But these are also childish theories. The fact is that there is the Supreme Controller, God, Krishna, and He gives us chance after chance after chance to try to understand Him. That's called reincarnation. We don't die when the body dies, because the body is anyway only chemicals, it's not alive. We are spiritual beings by nature. We go to another body. If we act piously, we go to a good situation in our next life. If we act sinfully, we go to an undesirable situation. But actually every situation in this material world is undesirable, because being in this world itself is undesirable. So the truth is really that we're not this body. It's very good news. Everyone's trying to be happy via the body. If a man has a big, strong body, that's considered to be very good. And if a woman has a very beautiful body, that's considered to be very good. And the rest of them, the men are trying to do exercises to make their body big and strong. And the women are doing yoga and putting cream on their face and lipstick and trying to be beautiful. But anyway, the big strong man eventually becomes a shriveled up old man. And even faster, the beautiful woman becomes a shriveled up, wrinkled old woman. So it's very good to know that actually we're not the body. And our real happiness doesn't lie in the body at all. The body is just a vehicle for us to suffer in this world. When we learn that we're not the body, we become liberated from this ridiculous endeavor to try to become happy via the body. The Vedas teach us that our nature is to be eternal and pure, just as the Supreme Lord is eternal and pure. He is infinite, we are infinitesimal. But we have the same nature. We are meant to be happy. We're not meant to be unhappy. We can be happy simply by recognizing that we are meant to serve Krishna. Then we're situated in our natural position of happiness. And we don't have to get born again and again and again and die again and again and again. So the truth is that whatever is taught, most of what is taught as the truth in all the colleges and universities and so on throughout the world, it's just a package of lies and mistakes. And even though some of the things they teach may be true, for instance, in the schools they teach that reacting, and if you mix an acid with an alkali, it will react and it will produce effervescence and salt and water, for instance. So some of the things they teach are true, we have to say. But it's all on the background. The basis of it all is gross ignorance. The gross ignorance of thinking we can be happy in this world. The gross ignorance of not even considering that we are spiritual beings by nature. The gross ignorance of thinking that by educating everyone in their nonsense, that human society will improve. The university give degrees with the idea that you can get a better life by getting a degree. Even if you get a so-called better life, still you have to suffer birth, death, old age and disease. With a little more money and a little more prestige, you can struggle throughout your whole life as everyone else is struggling. Degree or no degree, everyone is just picking up more and more bad karma at every moment. There's a saying that the truth will set you free. You know that song, I think it's from early 1960s. The truth will set us free. The truth will set us free. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe the truth will set us free someday. Da-da-da-da-da-da. The universities, they say they're teaching us the truth, but we get a lifetime of slavery in the name of getting a degree. Tied up by debts, working hard in ignorance. So the Krishna conscious movement offers the truth that will really set us free. This material world is like a prison. We're tied here by material desires. We can't even see the chains, and therefore we think that we are free. But material desires chain us up in this material world. They force us to take birth again and again and again in a useless effort to try to fulfill our desires. But actually, far from fulfilling our desires, we just create more and more desires all the time. But the truth taught in the Bhagavad Gita liberates us from this cycle of ignorance and repeated birth and death. The poor university students, they think, oh, I'm so very prestigious, I'm going to Brno University. Is it? There's Brno University? Yeah. If we examine impartially, we'll see that the so-called high-class educated people, they're nothing more than sophisticated dogs. The dogs are interested in food and female dogs, or male dogs if they're females. living comfortably. So what's the great difference between a so-called educated high-class human who's just interested in all these things and a dog? Though the truth should lift us above the animal-like platform. The devotees who know the truth that we are not the body, we're eternal spirit souls. We're eternal servants of the supreme blissful truth, Krishna. So simply by receiving this knowledge, devotees are on the path to eternity, actual knowledge, and true bliss. Of course, there are so many people who want to speak out again. Yes, we believe in the truth. Just like there was the communist rule in this country, and some people stood against the communist rule. They're great heroes of the people. Similarly, there are folk singers and such people in the Western world. I'm very much out of touch with the modern Western so-called culture. When I was young, we used to hear of great heroes of the youth. Bob Dylan, now he must be an old man, definitely. And John Lennon singing, "Give Peace a Chance," "All You Need Is Love," and other great ballads of the opposition to the tyrannical rule of the leaders. But actually all these so-called rebels and revolutionaries, they're in as much illusion as the people they're supposed to be rebelling against. They don't know the actual truth of our spiritual nature. They say, give peace a chance. The idea is that they can peacefully live like polished animals. They don't want war because they want to live peacefully like cats and dogs. Leave us to peacefully live in ignorance. That's their message. So, the Krishna consciousness movement is meant for understanding the truth that transcends all human values and civilizations. So many great civilizations come and go. For instance, in recent times there's been the Babylonian Empire, the Roman Empire. You may say, well, that's not recent. Maybe the British Empire was recent. But the Roman Empire, that was what, just about 2,000, just a flick in time. All these so-called civilizations, they come and go. They build big buildings, and people go to Rome and Greece and take photos of the old buildings, and that's all that's left. But all these civilizations are laboring in the ignorance of the actual truth of life. This body is not me. Unless we understand this, we're in gross ignorance. I am not chemicals. I am spiritual by nature. I am meant for eternal happy life. But that eternal happy life is only possible to attain if we recognize that we are under the control of higher powers. That higher power we cannot find in telescopes or microscopes or by mental speculation. But that truth may be revealed to us. But we have to become pure to realize the supreme truth, who is the supreme pure. So the Krishna consciousness movement offers a process of purification by chanting the names of Krishna, the supreme pure, the supreme truth, and cultivating genuine spiritual knowledge and leading a pure life. We cannot understand God if we're participating in the slaughter of animals. For instance, we cannot take alcohol and tobacco and understand God. Of course, many people may not like to hear these things. Another unfortunate truth is that hardly anyone is prepared to seriously seek the truth. And therefore, it can be dangerous to speak the truth or live by the truth. But if we have the courage and conviction to do so, then surely the truth will actually set us free. To understand the truth means to become free from illusion. The illusion of thinking that this body is me and that I am meant for enjoying this world. That being freed from illusion means being freed from the cycle of repeated birth and death and concomitant sufferings in this material world. So the Krishna consciousness movement is a very happy movement. But it's also, you must, happy means we're singing, we're dancing, but it's also a very heavy movement, inasmuch as we are dedicated to the truth, which means that we inevitably have to go against almost everything in this world, which is all founded in gross ignorance. Okay, Hare Krishna. That's all I'm going to say now. And if anyone has any question or comment or protest, they may kindly say so now. Okay, no comment, no question, no protest. So that means what? Everyone agrees with what I said? Or maybe that someone thought it's so stupid it's not even worth commenting on. That's also possible. Yeah, okay. Did everyone hear? Yeah. Okay.
Na přednášce, že jsme od přírody duchovní, ale já s tím moc nesouhlasím, řekl bych, že jsme spíš od Boha duchovní. So many times you were mentioning that we are spiritual from nature, but I did not agree. I would say that we are spiritual from God.
Yeah, nature means the nature. We have our nature which is dependent upon God. So it's another way of saying it. When I say nature in this, that's maybe a linguistic misunderstanding, because when you think of nature, you may think of the plants and the flowers and the wind and the mountains and so on. But I was using nature in the sense of our intrinsic situation, our intrinsic characteristic. So our intrinsic characteristic is to be spiritual as God is spiritual. He is the supreme spiritual and we are dependent spiritual. Okay. Dobre, is it? It's good. All right. Yeah, it's good. The truth is good. Good news. If the truth was bad, we'd really be in trouble. Fortunately for us, God really is good.
He said that we had bad times during the communist regime, and gradually this man, the Pope Jan Pavel II from the Poland, he gradually destroyed this communist regime.
Really? Is that what they say?
And he said that it's unfortunate that at the time there was no Hare Krishna movement, because it was much better.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Another truth of the Krishna conscious movement is that we have the best food also. So if you don't appreciate the philosophy, at least you can appreciate the prasadam. And I guess it's more or less time for that, huh? Is it?
Yes.
Is it? That's
one more kirtan.
Okay.
And then
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.